Hello and welcome. I am Scarperlock, and this is City of Heroes. We're with our level 43 Brute, Liberty Lass, who needs about a half a million, little over half a million XP to get to the next level. And you guys have missed about an hour-long episode because I had all kinds of trouble with the sound. I updated Windows 10, and something happened where even though I had everything set on the headphones, I wasn't hearing the sound in the headphones, and then I fixed it, and then I wasn't getting pickup from the mic and I didn't know it, and I did a whole bunch of parts of the video talking without any sound coming through the mic, and all it was the sound from the video game, and so it was a mess of an episode. Obviously, there's no point in showing you that. We're still on a story arc from Janet Kellum. We're trying to take the codes from Crey that we have found, right? In the last episode, I went through and found all the CreyComp codes. Remember, Crey is sort of like a mustache twirling. Well, they're in real life. Microsoft is a bunch of mustache twirling cartoon villains, but they're an extremely exaggerated version of the cartoon twirling mustache, the mustache twirling cartoon villains that Microsoft Corporation is, and they're trying to use their operating system to like brainwash people and stuff. And so we have collected all of the various different parts of the operating system, and we now have to take the computer code to Justine Kelly in Independence Port, who's going to examine it for us, I think, or whatever, and sort of try to neutralize it. Because what Crey is trying to do is use their operating system to brainwash everybody who uses it to buy Crey items and submit to Crey, you know. So believe me, I am certain that if Microsoft could brainwash us all with its operating system, like actually brainwash us, they to buy their products, they absolutely would. I have no question about it. Um, in the real world, you can't brainwash people with computer code, but in the superhero world, you obviously can, right? So, so I do apologize for the fact that we're kind of coming in on the end of this story arc, but on the other hand, I haven't really been paying a lot of attention to the story arc and the narrative. And again, if you want to see me actually reading out and following all of the stories, and actually kind of role playing that the character is doing the stories, I did that extensively with the Silver Phoenix playthrough. So she just finished the analysis, dropped by. Yeah, this I like. What's the point of that? Okay, so now we know that CreyComp is brainwashing people, and we're going to go to Crey's Folly, and we are going to destroy all the copies of CreyComp. Again, this is it's sort of a satire on the Microsoft Corporation, um, which was already pretty bad by the early 2000s, and they've only gotten worse. Yeah, I don't know what it is about. We've talked about corporations versus customers in previous episodes. I don't know what it is about corporations that they think they have to engage in these like manipulative evil practices instead of just putting out a good product. And I guess the problem is they can't figure out how to put out a good product, so they try to force you to buy their product anyway, or they don't have real confidence in their product, so they feel like they have to force it. I don't know. Um, I will say we have been getting unless the devs of Homecoming have done something to tweak the way mission spawn points are created in some of the hazard zones, particularly Crey's Folly. We've gotten very, very lucky that almost all of our missions have spawned, and you can see on the map, right? You can see where I've been, right? The base portal is here, and almost all of our missions have spawned just in this little area. So I haven't had to go all over this giant map to get to my missions, and just like wasting time traveling all over the map. It used to be you'd come in here, there wasn't a base portal in here. You'd come in here and you have to go all the way to the other side of the map, and the only I mean, it's pointless, right? You just fly up high enough that nothing can aggro to you, and it's just a time sink. So I don't know if I've just gotten lucky or if the guys at Homecoming have done something with the location of where the mission site spawns. I'm not sure. I've said this before. I'm not sure how this generated. I don't know if it's Schrodinger's mission point where it generates a spawn, like a doorway. It links to a doorway, right? And there are a bunch of existing doorways. You can click on them when you don't have a mission, and it says you can't go in here, right? I can show you that when we come out. So they're existing doorways, and some of them are just one of them is just activated for each mission. And as I said, I don't know if it's Schrodinger's doorway, where the game doesn't know which doorway it's going to link to your mission until you enter the zone, or someone from your group who has your mission active enters the zone, or if they predetermine what the mission door is going to be when you get the mission. I'm not sure how that works. But one way or another, we've either gotten lucky or somebody has reprogrammed it to preferentially activate the mission doors that are. We getting ambushed? No. To preferentially activate the mission doors that are closest to the base portal. Given that the base portal is new, like it, I don't think it existed in. Why am I not doing anything here? I don't think it existed in. Not sure what happened there, where I was clicking buttons and nothing worked. I don't think it existed in live in this particular. It's happening again. I'm clicking buttons, and this was happening in the video you guys didn't see. I'm clicking on buttons, and like even in inspirations, and nothing's happening. I don't know if you can see it on your end, but it's definitely, like, how many times am I clicking? Oh, okay, this guy's got me taunted. I have to say, and I said this in the episode that you aren't going to see, one of the things that really aggravates me about the taunt is I don't mind being taunted. Okay, whatever. I'll punch you first. But what irritates me is it doesn't change the target. Right? When I'm taunted, it just doesn't allow me to attack another target, but will allow me to retain the targeting on the thing I can't punch. And then I'm hitting buttons to try to attack, and I'm just getting taunted, right? And I may not notice it. I would rather, if this guy taunts me and I've targeted a guy over here, the targeting reticle just snaps over to him, and I can, okay, fine. Now I know I've been taunted, and I can go over here and get it. Such a subtle message, and with all these special effects flying, I may not always notice it. I'm sort of conditioned not to notice the words floating over my head because so many times, like the energy stored and energy released words come floating, or critical hit from scrappers, or for stalkers, it's like assassin strike or whatever, that I don't always register the word coming up over my head, you know? And all right, that's partly my fault for not being observant, but it would have helped me a lot if, hang on, I'm going to sneeze. Sorry about that. It would have helped me a lot if, when I was taunted, the targeting reticle just moved to the guy who taunted me. Sorry, another sneeze. Also, don't know why a couple times I clicked on inspirations just now and it didn't trigger either. And taunting shouldn't affect that. So I don't know. Right. I mean, one of the problems is when you're. The other problem that it happens when you're taunted. This was really screwing me up in the last episode because I was experiencing a whole bunch of lag. And if you click on this, you can see how it's like all just green. I was getting a bunch of yellow and red spikes like every second or two. And so when that happens, you click on something and you get no response from the system, right? If I click on somebody that I'm not allowed to attack, right, it will queue up and I'll see this. And if you click on this and you don't have a target, it will target somebody, and then you click on it again and it queues up. But what this was happening in the lag, with the lag, what was happening is I was clicking buttons and inspirations and stuff, and just nothing was happening, right? And then I would click it again, and eventually it would finally trigger. But it took it a couple of clicks. And so if I get taunted, right, it doesn't queue anything up. It just basically, you click on it, click, and I didn't just then because it would do something, but, you know, here. You click on it and nothing happens, right? And so that was confusing me because I thought, am I lagged or what? And then it was like, oh no, you've been taunted. Is there a boss right there? No, okay. Just making sure it's not a boss. The only reason I need to know whether it's a boss or not is because I just want to know whether I wanted to, use what inspirations I have, which I don't actually have good ones for fighting a boss right now anyway. So, but yeah, there's been several times in this episode, but it was a bunch of times in the previous episode where I was clicking on buttons and it just wasn't, the UI just wasn't responding, right? And it's like, I'm not a noob, right, who's never played City of Heroes before. I know how the UI is supposed to respond to my clicks, and I have a pretty good feel for it. And so when stuff isn't working the way I expect, I pick it up right away. But you can see the white miss or dodged or whatever, that comes up so much that when the little white taunted comes up, I guess sometimes I don't notice it. It's the juggernauts who do the taunting. I switch targets there to do the big attack on the lieutenant, and then we'll switch back once we eliminate him. And finish this guy, and then we go to this guy. I wish all these were just clickies. This part where you punch a box over and over and over again, and you can miss it, even though it's a box bigger than I am, it's literally missing the broadside of a barn. With a character who's 43rd level and has all these accuracies, is super annoying to me. Speaking of accuracy, I finally did get another IO in here, so we now have this double accuracy. And so, I don't know why it's not showing the damage value here, but we're doing 500 damage a hit, plus we have 2.1x accuracy. The base accuracy is 1.2, so we should not miss with this power energy transfer, right? The other powers don't have quite that kind of accuracy, right? This one has 1.6, this one has 1.8, this one has 1.7, this is a 1.7. So we have really good accuracy on this character. I guess at this point, maybe we should move to +3s. I'm just worried that it's going to make the missions take like a really long time. That's the one reason I won't move up to like ×2 or ×3, because it just makes the missions take longer. And at this point, I don't feel like I need, as I've said this before, I don't feel like I need to extend the life of this character. I've gotten sufficiently enough out of her, and we still have 7 levels to go, that I'm not going to try to like slow her down. And that means in XP terms, and also means in terms of like how long it takes to run through the missions. So this is one of these things where, on the one hand, I understand that they're trying to demonstrate to you all of the stuff that Crey has, right? How many boxes of CreyComp code there are. But having to go through and either click on or punch like 30 things, again, reeks of time sink. You could get the main thrust of this mission here, right? With a map that ended literally right here, and a boss in this corridor, and just the number of crates that we have done so far, I really would like some luck. Can I get some luck here, guys? Can I get lucky enough to get some luck to drop? Guess not. Actually, I should have saved that one. I would like to get another one of each of these. You know how I like to run with 4 of each. And it's funny, I used to run with rows instead of columns, and there's no particular reason for me to run with one or the other, because I click with the mouse, the left mouse button on things. I do not use the keyboard. But one of my friends, way back during live, said that that he does them in columns, because then if you do want to hit the function keys, F1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 here, when you hit one, the others drop down into it. And he said, like, if he really gets into trouble, he can just hit F1, 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 and they all just sort of drop down, and you get them all at once. Whereas if you do them across, you have to manually click on them, right? Or you could click F1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for whichever one. Let's say you have yellows in the bottom, but then greens drop into place, and you can't do that again, right? And so if you do a couple of them, then you've got some greens on one and some reds or yellows on the other, and then you've got to actually pay attention to which one you're doing. So he likes to do them in columns, this particular friend of mine, and I started doing them that way, even though I don't use the function keys. And so it just seems natural to me now to do that. The other reason I like to do it is doing it across gives you 5 columns, right? So 5 types of inspirations, 4 versions each, versus doing it in rows. I would just have 4 types of inspirations, 5 copies each. Or you're doing 4, 4, 4, 4, and then a column, which is kind of messy. I can't remember what level I was when I made that switch. I think I was pretty low level. I think I was, well, I think I was already 40th. It was certainly when you have at least 3 of them, because with 2, it really wouldn't matter, right? Because you're not sucking down a whole column of things. But when you have 3 or 4, now you have actual columns, whereas with 2, yeah, it's technically a column, but not much of one, right? And when you only have 1 row, obviously, well, do you ever have 1 row? Yeah, you do. When you only have 1 row, obviously, it's not relevant. So yeah, post in the comments. What do you guys do for your inspirations? How do you do them? Right? Do you put them in columns? Do you have like whole trays of one thing because that's the most important thing to you? Like, how do you do it? I remember I've mentioned this before. On the City of Heroes forum, somebody posted way back, like before the global defense nerf. Somebody posted a screenshot of something with his tank character, and what I noticed was, and I'm pretty sure this was before I got high enough level to have 4 rows, so I think I only had 3 rows, and I was like, oh, you get another row, right? But the other thing I noticed about it is he had 4 rows of 5, and all 20 boxes. And he might have had 1 or 2 used, but his entire tray was all endurance, all of it. And I thought, wow, the whole thing was endurance. He didn't seem to feel like he needed luck, and I guess he didn't need accuracy or damage because he was a tank, and in those days, a lot of people just slotted for defenses and didn't even bother with the primary because the tank's job was, quote unquote, not to do damage, and you mostly got your aggro from taunting. And a lot of tanks just took provoke, taunt, maybe 1 or 2 other powers in their primary that they kind of had to take. You know, because you have to take, at first level, you have to take a primary and it's not taunt. So you got to take primaries till you get to taunt, kind of. And, start taking pool power, still 6th level, and you can't take the higher tier pool power, still 14th. So they usually had a couple of the lower ranked, like Barrage and Energy Punch, let's say. And then they would maybe get taunt up here. They would go ahead and take taunt as soon as it unlocked, level 10 or whatever. They would get provoke at level either 6 or 8, I guess. 8, because they would need a movement power at 6. And then they did well, those are their secondary powers, right? On a tank, it'd be over here. And the primaries are over here. So they were focusing on getting their primaries and enhancing them. And, they didn't try to solo. They would just get teams and either work with their supergroup or work with pickup teams. And they would just get their teams and do, there's that taunt. They would just get their teams and they would let their teammates do all of the damage and they would just hold aggro. Okay, who just threw... I'm trying to figure out who just threw the shield. Are you kidding me? So yeah, I mean, I guess if all you're doing, taunt and provoke don't take that much endurance. So if all you're doing is taunt and provoke, I don't know why you would need endurance, but I guess you don't need accuracy and damage. And I guess he didn't need health, heals, or lux. And at the time, those were the only inspirations you had, right? You had these five. The sturdies didn't exist. So you just had these five were the only inspirations at the launch of the game. They didn't have the break freeze. They didn't have the sturdies. They didn't have anything else. Right now, there's no point to you taunting me. You're the only one here. I can't attack anybody else if I wanted to. What? I actually didn't see this guy, so I guess there was somebody else here. Not that it mattered. So we still have 8 crates to destroy. There's a bossy boss. Okay. Let's grab that, grab that, grab that. Grab that, and smack. So now what we want to do is hope to disorient this guy as quickly as possible. There he is, he's disoriented. Now we want to keep him disoriented if we can. Nope, couldn't do it. Try to keep disoriented so he wouldn't throw on Moment of Glory or whatever it is, but he did, so we'll just ignore him and go get the other stuff, and then we will come back. He's going to probably pursue me, but I don't care. And this is a punch one, so we don't have to worry about clicking on it. So if he hits me while I'm doing that, it won't matter. And then we'll just head up to this lieutenant and fight him instead. Yeah, so he's running back. We'll ignore him, and we'll come back to him afterwards. Now, of course, it means that our strength of will not be active. Okay, this is alright. I was just trying to make sure there wasn't another boss in here, but there's not. Let's try to get the protector. Wow. Come on. Got him. Wow. They are pounding me. Did they ever miss? Apparently not. Oh, because somebody debuffed me. Alright, we're going to finish this thing off, and then we'll go fight the guy in the other room, and then we'll come back. Because I don't want him to regenerate. They'll slowly regain hit points. It doesn't take... They don't come back that fast, but they will slowly regain them, and so I don't want to have to fight him all the way over again. So we'll go back and fight this dummy. Oh, you want to fly? Okay. See, this is why I don't fly. I can never judge where the heck I am in 3D. It requires so much camera movement. I just don't consider it worth it. And that's why I just, I'll fly to travel around. But I'm not going to fly for combat. I guess I'm like Khan. I don't like dealing with the Z-axis. From Wrath of Khan. Although I've been playing X4 a little tiny bit, I'm mostly doing tutorials. And man, what a complicated game that is. Made worse by the fact that because it was on sale, I bought all of the DLC with it as a bundle. It was cheaper combined, or is almost as cheap combined as the base game would have been when it wasn't on sale. So I think the base game was 40, and I think with the sale, the DLC, base game plus all the DLC was like 50. So I'm like, yeah, I'll just get it. I mean, I may as well, right? And it gives you a lot more options, a lot more stuff to do, but man, it also adds a lot more complexity to the game because there are a whole bunch of extra features and stuff that you would not have in the base game alone. And I was kind of waiting on it because one of the things they're doing is they're getting ready to release a new version, version 7, I guess. And supposedly coming with this version eventually, when the whole thing is ready, is going to be, if you're watching us 3 misses in a row with 60 to 80% chance to hit. One of the things they're going to do eventually with version 7 is include a much better tutorial than the one they have right now, which, well, I don't want to say it's terrible. I'm actually playing another game that's a truly terrible tutorial. The part of the game that, like, over here there's like menu items in the game, right? Or when you're going to start, what game do you want to start? When you start the training scenarios, they're terrible. They're like legitimately terrible, and they don't explain stuff to you, or at least not enough. But then when you get into the game, there is there's a set of training that you can avail yourself of, and there's like a whole bunch of them, and I've only done like maybe 4. And each one of them really does do an okay job of explaining how things work. Yeah, the tutorial, some of the tutorials okay, like the basic combat training one, it does explain stuff. The basic maneuvering does explain stuff, how to maneuver your spaceship and things like that. But then you get into like the free tutorial where they give you a map and you can right click, they give you a bunch of ships. A capital ship, a smaller ship, a trading ship, and whatever. And they give you, you can right click on any one of them to teleport to any one of them and supposedly do tutorial mission for each one. But 2 of them, they don't explain to you what to do at all, right? So the one that's like the tutorial on how to build a space station, because you can own your own space stations, which is pretty cool, pretty awesome actually. That tutorial, no asterisk on where the last glowy is, huh? That tutorial doesn't work. At least I couldn't figure out how to make it work, right? As you right click, teleport to your ship, okay, now you're going to start your quest, right? The other quests, missions give you a little like waypoint or something. There's nothing. And it doesn't tell you what to do. Now, you can edit the space station and add modules to it, but you don't have enough money to buy any of the materials, as far as I can tell. So it doesn't really show you how to do it, right? It just gives you the option to like play around in the interface. But that's not a tutorial. A tutorial is click on this button and then click on this button, and you can drag this, or you can use the mouse wheel to rotate it, right? It doesn't do any of that in the part of the game where you're just doing the training. But when you start an actual campaign, like I started the base game campaign, the one that comes with Foundations, which is the one they recommend that everybody recommends you start with. That actually has tutorials where it says, okay, here's how to dock, here's how to fly out of the spaceport, here's what to do when you get attacked by ships, here's how to work your shields, blah blah blah. They actually do have some explanations and some stuff there that you can do, like with your actual live character rather than a tutoring character. I'm not sure I love that, because to me, I don't want to necessarily do a tutorial with my quote-unquote campaign character. Like, I mean, I don't mind doing the tutorial City of Heroes with this one, but it's a different sort of a tutorial, right? I mean, I don't know, but yeah, their tutorial is supposedly getting an upgrade. So one of the things, I had it on my wish list in Steam, and I think it was like $90 to buy the base game in the package with all of the DLC, and I wasn't sure if I was going to do that or not, because like I said, the base game was like 40, and then the DLC was like another 40 or 50 to get it all, and so I wasn't sure I wanted to do that. Do we have reward merits here? So we're not done. Guess not. And so, oh, we're going to plant a virus in their computers. Yeah. So, I had out my Steam wish list, and what I was thinking in the back of my head was, I will wait until Update 7 comes out. It's currently in beta. Apparently, the last thing they're going to do is put an improved intro tutorial in there to help players learn all of the interface and how it all works. But it's not in yet, so I can't even go into the beta branch if I wanted to and play the beta version and get the better tutorial. Oh, we're being ambushed. By Crey, I guess? You guys trying to get your computer code back? Where are you? Oh, Malta. Well, come here. Follow me over here, guys. Come on. See what I'm doing? They're too stupid to find me, though. Oh, here they come. This is going to be fun. Come on over. This is cheesy, and I wouldn't normally do it, but I just since we're so close, let's have some fun. Come on. The police drone is going to take him out. Yeah. If it wasn't an auto turret, I probably would have just fought him. But since we were so close and I hate auto turrets, I was like, yeah, let's do it. Obviously, you don't get an ASP for that, so yeah. Anyway, I was going to wait until X4 had the upload the virus to Crey. Okay, till X4 had the tutorial finished and Update 7 was out, and then I was like, well, I'll buy either just Foundations or I'll buy the whole thing. We'll see, right? And then I got an email from Steam. This thing on your wish list is on sale, and so I was like, okay, wait a minute. It was only like, I can't remember, $20, $25 to buy the base game, but then it was only going to be again just a little over the cost of the base game to buy everything they have. I'm like, yeah, I'll just buy it all. I mean, I don't know. I figured if I don't like it, I could refund it, but I played more than 2 hours, so you can't refund it after that. And it's a good enough game that I wouldn't refund it. I got to do a lot of playing around to like get used to it and stuff, and I'm horrible at dogfights. And you know, I tried using the gamepad, and it's just atrocious to use. I can't fly ships with a gamepad. I can use a gamepad for sports games and stuff, but I can't use a gamepad to like control a character like this and steer. I don't know. I can use a regular joystick, right, like airplane style joystick. And in fact, I had one of those. The last time I think I had one of those was when I was playing Star Wars Galaxies, and I was doing a lot of dogfighting with my rebel character and earning a lot of faction points for her. And yeah, I did a lot of fun dogfighting with that. Was actually a pretty fun game. The space game in there was actually pretty fun. But I tried the gamepad and I'm like, yeah, that didn't work. So I've been using the keyboard. My guess is if I get actually serious about X4 and I really want to do dogfighting versus say mining or salvage or exploration, because you can kind of do whatever you want. It's one of the things I like about the game is you can do whatever you want. You can set up AI NPCs to be so this is the first elevator, just want to mark it. You can set up AI NPCs to be your captains, and they can do the mining and stuff for you, and you can just basically be a CEO. I mean, it takes a while to earn the money to do that, but you could just be a CEO of a company. There's all kinds of videos online about how to earn money fast in X4. I think there are mods to deal with the economy, because supposedly the economy is actually not as good as it could be. But I think they are updating that in Update 7. So anyway, the odds are very high that if I get really serious about doing things like dogfighting in X4, I'll go out and buy some kind of like a Thrustmaster or something and buy like a really good joystick with lots of buttons on it, and you know, the kind of joystick that looks like you're flying in an actual real world F-15. I used to have those. I mean, I mean, one of the games I played the daylights out of in the mid 90s was X-Wing and then its sequel TIE Fighter. Oh man, I did the entire campaign of X-Wing all the way through once. And then the X-Wing, what was the first one called? An expansion came out. I can't remember the name of it. And because the original X-Wing took you to the Battle of the Death Star, and then this expansion took you to Hoth, I think, or something like that. And or to Empire Strikes Back, maybe, I'm not sure. It was. I wish I could remember the name of it. Um, it was just a generic expansion, and then there was another expansion called B-Wing that added the B-Wing and added like Return of the Jedi to it, I think. Don't quote me on that. It's been a while since I played that game. What an awesome game. I had so much fun with it. I remember training for hours and hours using the obstacle course. I was so bad at it at first because you had to go through these gates. It was like a slalom, and they got progressively harder as you got better. And in order to qualify or whatever, you had to complete them all, I think. And or at least I was determined to complete them all because I'm a completionist when I'm playing video games. And so I remember that in some of the obstacle courses, like they were holographic, so it looked like a little flat platform with a little gate on it, like a little horseshoe kind of shape, but square at the top. So it was like an orange thing that went up like a little squared gate and then a flat gray polygon. I mean, it's pretty simple graphics, and you were flying through it. It's supposed to be holographic obstacle, so you could actually, if you went down, if you nosed down onto the platform, you could fly through the platform. I don't think you bounced off of it. And then you'd be like underneath the obstacle course, and it was really hard to get back on without missing gates. And I remember like getting completely turned around and lost and being like, holy crap, okay, so there's the obstacle course, but which is the last gate I did? And I like flew through a gate and I missed like 20 of them. I was dreadful at it to begin with. I despaired of ever being able to get through the training and actually do dogfights. But little by little, bit by bit, I got better and better and better at it until I was an ace. I could just go through the training no problem, and I was able to take on the most difficult missions. Like, I could solo Nebulon frigates with a B-wing. I don't know if I could have soloed it with an X-wing because they don't have enough torpedoes to do enough damage. The next one we're going to is there. But I remember soloing them with B-wings were wildly OP, by the way. The B-wing fighter was wildly overpowered. But it was a lot of fun to fly because you could take out enemy capital ships with it, which, yeah, it's wildly overpowered. The main thing was it had very overpowered shields. So with the X-wing fighters and Y-wing fighters, and especially A-wing fighters, they didn't have strong shields, and so the A-wings are the weakest, then X-wings, then B-wings in terms of their shields, and then Y-wings, and then B-wings. B-wings had the best shields, and if I'm remembering this right. And yeah, A-wings, you had to keep your speed up and dodge, because a couple hits and your shields would go down. So you could not attack a capital ship. And also A-wings only had concussion missiles. They're faster than proton torpedoes, but they didn't do a lot of damage. So you weren't going to be doing any damage to a capital ship with concussion missiles. B-wings and Y-wings had proton torpedoes. They also had ion blasters, and the ion blasters would take out enemy shields. And so you could take down a capital ship like a Nebulon B frigate by taking down. You would do passes at it, and you would slowly take down its shields. You had to go fast enough to beat the shield regen, right? Because it would slowly regenerate. And then once the shields were down, if you hit it, it would disable it, and then you could just sit there and pound it. Yeah, I got really good at that game, and I got really used to those joysticks. But I haven't actually owned a joystick in probably 20 years. I've owned gamepads, right? And they're good for driving games. Gamepads, you wouldn't use a joystick. I wouldn't use a joystick for that. But for flying games, just the movement of the joystick is better for me than trying to use a gamepad. But I don't know, because there are so many different types of buttons you need to push for a for X4 that I don't, like, you're still going to be using the keyboard in addition to the joystick, and that doesn't work for me. So, I mean, unless you get one of these like extended setups where you have both, I know they have these for like the people who are really serious about flying games, like Flight Simulator or, you know, flight combat games. They have not only the joystick, there's a second unit that's got like the throttle on it and like a bunch of other buttons that you could dynamically assign. So you have 6 or 7 buttons on the throttle unit, and then you've got like the fire button, the index finger button, the thumb fire button, maybe 2 or 3 of those. You've got something you can click and like something you can like snap from left to right to turn something on or off, and all those things can be assigned. And so, you know, I mean, yeah, if I get really serious about a flying game, kind of like a fighter combat type game, I would get some kind of a setup like that probably. At this point, I can't see myself getting that serious about it. Especially since there are so many other modes to the game and you can kind of automate certain things. I can't see myself getting so serious about it that I would get a joystick. That I would get not just a joystick, but a super expensive, you know, almost like realistic F-15 type joystick with the accompanying throttle, whatever you call it, throttle peripheral. I'm not sure. I don't remember what the word is for that. Again, I haven't done these in years. If anybody plays a good flying game, like plays flying games and knows of a good brand that you really like, that has lots of assignable keys but is comfortable to use and not insanely expensive, because I'm not going to spend like $1,000 on a controller. Um, yeah, drop it down in the comments and I'll take a look at it. And you just give me the name. You don't need to post the URL. I'll find it. I feel like I used to have a Thrustmaster years ago that I liked a lot. That's the one. I feel like that's the one I played X-Wing with. No, Star Wars Galaxies with. I can't remember what. I had a much simpler one for X-Wing, right? Because this was like 30 years ago. They didn't make this sort of realistic controllers like that for video game, for computers back then, right? It was a simple joystick with maybe, you know, a left and right thumb button and an underneath trigger button for your index finger, and maybe 2 or 3 buttons on the actual base, and that was it. And something that you could snap up and down, right, to like lock something in place, like if you want to do like lock a mode, like locking the S foils in position, that kind of thing. Which, if you don't know, the S-foils are the X's for the X-Wings, where it snaps open and closed to make it go from flat to an X. Okay, we are going to buff up. I'll go after this guy, and if I can't keep him disoriented and he mogs up, he moment of glories up, I will just turn my attention to the rest of the room and ignore him. These guys don't do that much damage, so I can probably get away with... Can we stun him? Can we stun him? Oh, he caught himself in a long animation. He was gonna moment of glory right after that animation was over, but I caught him doing a long animation, and that got him. That's the other way you can get those guys. If you can get them caught in a long animation, you're good. So yeah, if you know of a good brand that makes a high quality joystick, let me know. No guarantee I'm going to use it. No guarantee I'm going to get that into X4 to need it. But I'll always take recommendations for good quality products from people who've actually used them and know that they're good quality. Because otherwise, it's really hard. You know, you read reviews and like one group of people is praising the article, and other group of people, whatever the item is, and other people hate it, and it's really hard to know which one is best. Let's get this guy up here first. Hi there. Cray Crisis Unit. And there's somebody down here. Ah, we're getting our Lux. That's not what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to do. There we go. So you might ask, why am I busy, like, OCD sorting out my my tray while I'm in combat? Yeah, it's not that much threat to this character. I can afford it. She's all right. Right? She's pretty powerful, and I've pretty much always done that. Even when I was playing the Scrapper, I have a good sense of how long it takes for things to animate. And so after I've got a feel for the character and I have a sense of how long it takes for things to animate, I'm like, yeah, I can take the time to drag this over here right now. And it won't cause a gap in my attack chain. Hey, you, come over here. And then we're going to fight this guy. There we go. So why did I call him over? Because I knew there were guys up here, and I didn't want them to get involved. Well, I was going to hit haste there because these guys are slowing us down, but it's already recycling, so can't yet. I guess I should pull this map down because we're now on 2 rows of buffs. With all of the toggles and passives that we have. Yeah, I remember when I was, when the game was early, you know, first year or so of launch, we used to, like, when you go into the team window and you have people on your team, there's like a little arrow that lets you see their current buffs, right? And in particular, it's useful for like defenders and controllers who are doing buffing of the team to see who's got what buff on, so they know who to lay. If they have a single target buff, they know who to lay the buff on, right? And so they used to joke with me because my martial arts super reflex scrapper always had the longest, like her row of buffs was almost always the longest, and people would try to do stuff like do temporary buffs or run inspirations just to get their row of buffs to be as long as or longer than mine. It was just sort of like a little running joke we had. Okay, we've completed this mission, so let's head out. Still not the end of the story arc, I guess, because we didn't get any reward merits. It's almost like spoilers to see the reward merits. I kind of wish they would hand you the reward merits when you talk to the contact, because, well, I mean, I guess you can tell that it's over by the time the arc ends. Now, what are we doing with on time here? It is 4:30. I do not have time. It's 48 minutes as well. It's 4:30 in the afternoon. I do not have time to do another mission if it's going to be long, and this might be long. So this, I think, is the final mission. We're going to fight Countess Cray. I will bring you guys back to see that because she's a pretty good enemy to fight. She's pretty tough. We've got a good set of inspiration, so I don't think we need any more. I've got some temporary powers I might be able to use. We have clockworks that we can use. The rest of this stuff is just nonsense. But we could possibly, let's bring the clockworks down here. We could possibly use them. I mean, they'll die immediately, right? But we could use them as an aggro sponge, right? You know, you're like, let's fly down here. Right, you're over here. Countess Cray is over here with a minion, and you want to get the first shot in on them. If you try to run up, they're going to hit you first, right, with range. So you click the little clockwork thing. I'm not going to use it. You put it down over here, right? That will immediately draw aggro. They start shooting them. Then you run in while they're shooting them, and you get the first shot in. You know, it gives you like an extra second or two. They die super fast. I kind of feel mean using them because they're cute little toys. And they're, unlike other clockworks, they're non-evil. The other thing I do want to show you, because I think I did not show it. I think it was the last session that I did not managed to record the sound properly. No. Let's go to the base. So what I want to show you is, we'll do this on Peregrine Island because I know where it is. I can't remember. I never remember where the arenas are anywhere else. I am like 1 hour. If we look at our day badges, I am 1 hour from getting the arena badge. So let me show you where that is, and then we will stop. So in case you haven't found it, you haven't got to this level yet or whatever, it's on Peregrine Island. I think there's one on Talos Island too. There used to be. That's the one I remember going to for the very first time when I actually, the very first shot I had of Liberty Lass in her what was her new costume, which was we look in costumes. This one here, which is our original one. The original Liberty Lass was this with these gloves and boots, and then the red one was next. That was the next one I did, and so I where we go? There we go. So for whatever reason, I decided to take a picture of her, like hovering over the arena. I think because of the flags. I don't know. But anyway, if you come into the arena, couple things. This is where you get your day job badge, right? And there's doors all around it. Of course, I landed where there aren't any. There's doors all around it. You just go on in. And then they have these little salesmen. Originally, when they first started allowing you to buy inspirations and sell them, I feel like this is where you had to go to get them. So you can sell stuff here, and you can buy all the different levels, or some of the different levels, right? You can see. So you have the higher level inspirations if you want them. So that's pretty good. And then, if you just stand here and log off, you get this day job. And I don't remember what the badge is, but we'll see it the next time I log in because we only got 1 hour left, and I will be logged off for more than an hour. I hope you guys enjoyed, and until next time, I am Scrapperlock, and this has been City of Heroes.